Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming back and following the Holy Chic Iconic Installation Art course projects and listening to all my stories and hopefully some of the codes and the inspiration that I have taken in creating my art will land in your spirit and activate you to do the same thing, if not what I'm doing, a little bit different. Everybody has their own style, and allow you to tell your stories on a whole nother quantum level, besides just the basic three-dimensional art form that we're used to. Anyway, today's subject is about Saint Francis of Assisi. Uh, this story, Saint Francis is here. This is the Saint Francis church down in Ranchos de Taos in New Mexico. And I've gone into this church a lot. I love their candlelight services on Christmas Eve. They're beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And then out here on the walls, they have all the luminaries lit up. And it's just a magical Christmas time. I used to go there with my granddaughter, and then once I went by myself, and I always felt uplifted and close to God there. Um, but that was me. I don't know that everybody has that experience, but it was definitely for me. The skies, the New Mexico landscape and the sunsets there are just some of the most fabulous you'll ever see in the world. And they are a painting of their own. Many people have painted them. Many artists go there to study and learn to capture the light, the inflection of the light, and to learn to paint light, learn to um, respect the shadows, respect the perspectives. And Holy Chic installation art has all of those elements in it from traditional art class. Remember, color, hue, tone, perspective, uh, fading, vanishing points. I remember that in high school. Um, but it's also about the symbolism of the colors, and it's about the symbolism of the shapes and the size and the structures, and then the additional things that we add to it. And this one, I'll have to come up close to you. This one has little silk roses that I've attached to it. There's a silk bush growing up this fountain that the birds and the turtle, and there's a frog here somewhere. Where's the frog? Anyway, there's a frog somewhere. Will come into being. There's a little skunk down here, little bunnies. I grew up on a ranch, a farm in Kansas, and so nature and taking care of nature was really important to me. Taking care of the animals, tending the chickens, making sure that the birds came to the gardens because they ate the bad bugs. The bees had to come so that they could fertilize and pollinate all of the vegetables and the flowers and the grapes and you know all of my squash that I loved growing in the corn and still do, or in the garden and still do. My tomatoes, um, a gardener loves nature. They love the wildlife, the birds, the bees. Um, the the roses grow so much better when the birds help them out. So, with that being said, my affinity towards St. Francis goes way, way back. I think he was one of my first saints that I discovered when I was young because he was close to being like my grandfather. He tended the animals, he talked to the animals, he could hold a bird, and the skunks didn't bother him. He just showed respect and honor. And those, I don't know if St. Francis is associated with farmers, but I associated with that because of my grandfather. And so, with that being said, this is a little bit about my childhood and learning to respect what's in nature, learning to respect the birds, their migration, what they do for us, learning to respect the bees and their pollination and what they do for us. And then it's a little bit about the memories that I have of the St. Francis of Assisi Church in Taos, in Ranchos de Taos. It's the southern part of Taos proper. So this painting has the keys in it. It also has the fortune cookies in it. So a little bit on this one is you have an ability to see and know higher truth. And nature can teach you that. You can understand the bird migrations and understand why they do what they do and really learn a lot about yourself. In our United States, we have a phrase called snowbirds. And so in the winter you go south and in the summer you come north and you become the snowbird. You fly to get away from the snow. And the birds do as well. So I'm a hummingbird girl myself. I already have my waters out for them to come back this year and to talk to me and bring me their blessings. The hummingbird is a symbol in Native American tradition and language and spiritual symbolism for joy and happiness. And I am just delighted when I'm around the hummingbirds. I used to have a window at our house in Sun City, Arizona, and I never liked to use the dishwasher. I always store things in the dishwasher. So I'd sit at the kitchen sink and or stand at the kitchen sink and do the dishes and be able to look outside on my patio and see the hummingbirds. I tell you, I don't ever remember doing dishes because I was always watching the hummingbirds. It was such a delight. So in our lives, there can be some unpleasant, three-dimensional human things we have to do, like dishes, but we can turn it into joy and we can respect it and we can honor it and we can understand the lesson and the gift that it's bringing us because it's teaching us about ourselves too. And the other one here is that the greatest patience is humility. So if we can be humble enough to listen. My grandfather was a horse whisperer. He could break a horse in a day and have it be the most gentle horse. Oh my gosh, he was just a phenomenal person with his abilities there and just an absolute magical man in how he could communicate just by his energy, by his presence, and being able to tune in to nature and tune into the animals and turn into the birds. And by doing that, St. Francis kind of represents that for me. He was so in tune with nature that he didn't scare off the birds. They landed on him. So um, I really love this little piece. It was a quick piece to do and I just had so much fun doing it as well. This one up here says compassion is the antidote for every negative emotion that you ever experienced. Think about that. Let that one land. Compassion is the antidote for every negative emotion you ever experienced. And I think that means we have to be compassionate toward ourselves too. We all go through stuff, and if we knew better, we probably would have done better. But we're in the upgrading, we're raising our frequencies. We weren't supposed to be perfect as first graders, we grew into what we came here to do. And it's by going through our journey awake, aware, with our open heart, our compassion, that we're able to attune ourselves to nature, that we're able to feel the energy, the frequency, and communicate with what is around us to the Native American and to other cultures as well. Being in tune with nature and your environment. In macrobiotics, we eat in the season that the fruit or the vegetable comes ripe, and we eat within our area. That way, our bodies are also attuned. Okay, so being macrobiotic and tuned into nature and your environment is a really good thing. Um, this one down here says, um, compassion needs to start with yourself, or you'll never be able to feel real compassion for others. So, again, love yourself. Give yourself the grace. Strive to understand yourself. Don't ridicule yourself. Just because you got divorced doesn't mean you didn't learn a valuable gift to make your next relationship even more successful. Okay? It means maybe you healed karma with that person that you had so that you could be free, that you could be sovereign to create from your genius self, your art self. And nature will show you that. Your heart will show you that. You'll feel good when you meet that person. So, with all of that being said, I've started signing my art with like my credit card, my debit cards with my signature on them, because when they upgraded to the chip, I had all these old cards I couldn't use, and I thought, well, and I do mean a lot, so I cut them, and now I've become I have a different symbol for my signature now. I'm going to start signing all of them on the backs. So with that being said, this one has jewelry. It has little clay sculptures, some turquoise turtle, the silk flowers, the new debit card signature, some keys, fortune cookies, lots of glitter because the Holy Spirit is all over this. I mean, this has got some really intense activation codes in it itself. But this is just another example of something that you can take that's near and dear to you and create a fabulous memory, composite, story, and talk about it. Give it as a legacy to your grandchildren someday. Anyway, I love you dearly, and keep coming back. There's a lot more to learn. Bye bye.